You want to change your life. It all starts with one thing, your state. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when everything lines up perfectly. It begins right now in this moment, because every single decision you've ever made, every breakthrough you've ever had came from a particular state of mind, a state of emotion, a state of energy. When you're in the wrong state, you can have the best strategy in the world. You can know exactly what to do and still not follow through. But when you're in the right state, when your mind, body, and emotions are aligned and alive, you'll find a way. You'll break through walls you didn't even know were there. Think about it. How many times have you known what you should do, but you just didn't do it? You knew you should wake up early, go to the gym, make that call, start that project, repair that relationship, but something inside you said, not now. That wasn't a lack of knowledge. That was a lack of state, because when your energy is low, your mind is foggy, your emotions are dull, your decisions follow that pattern. But when you shift your state, when you raise your energy, when you breathe differently, move differently, think differently, everything changes. You feel unstoppable, you feel alive, and suddenly the impossible looks like a challenge instead of a threat. Changing your life starts with mastering that shift. It's not about waiting for motivation to strike. Motivation is fleeting. You don't wait for lightning to hit. You become the lightning. You create it. You generate it. Every emotion, every feeling you've ever had, confidence, fear, joy, sadness, they're all patterns created by how you use your body and where you focus your mind. The problem is most people are unconscious to it. They don't even realize they're creating the very emotions that hold them back. They think life is happening to them, but life is responding to them. It's responding to the energy they bring. If you want to change your life, you must first change your energy. You can't walk around slouched over, breathing shallow, speaking softly, thinking small, and expect to feel powerful. Your body is the remote control for your mind. You change the way you move, you change the way you feel. Stand tall, breathe deep, smile wide, shift your physiology, and you'll instantly shift your psychology. That's not philosophy, that's biology. That's how your nervous system works. You train it, you condition it, you take control of it. You ever notice how champions move? How they walk into a room? They have that presence not because life handed them better circumstances, but because they learned to control their state. They learned to show up with certainty before the evidence appeared. They didn't wait for confidence, they created it. Confidence isn't something you get from winning. It's the state that makes winning possible. You step into that energy, that level of conviction, and your world starts to match it. Most people let their state be controlled by the outside world, the news, the weather, their bank account, someone's opinion, the traffic, the rejection, the failure. But if you live that way, you're living as a victim. You're letting life decide how you feel. Real change happens when you decide, no matter what happens out there, I control what happens in here. When you realize that your internal world creates your external reality, that's when life shifts. Let me tell you something, emotions are habits, and just like physical habits, emotional habits can be broken and replaced. Some people are addicted to anger, others to worry, some to sadness, some even to being overwhelmed because it's familiar. It feels safe even if it hurts. The mind loves what's familiar even when it's destructive. So to change your state, you have to break the pattern, interrupt it. When that old feeling starts creeping in, fear, doubt, frustration, don't sit in it. Move, shout, change your breathing, blast your favorite song, jump up and down. Do something radical to remind your brain, we're not doing this anymore. Your physiology is the fastest way to change your psychology. You could spend hours trying to talk yourself into feeling better, or you could stand up, move your body with power, breathe like a champion, and in seconds your brain will start releasing the chemistry of strength, of confidence, of drive. That's why great performers, athletes, leaders, artists, they have rituals. They know that before they step on the field, the stage, or into that meeting, they need to be in peak state. Because success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who generate the energy for it. If you've ever had a moment in your life when you were completely alive, maybe you hit a goal, maybe you fell in love, maybe you faced fear and came out on top, you know what that state feels like. You were unstoppable, you were certain, you were focused. That version of you is still inside you waiting to be activated. You don't have to find it, you just have to remember how to turn it on. You have to condition yourself to live there more often than not. You see, emotions are like muscles. The more you train certain emotions, the stronger they become. If you constantly train frustration, anger, and fear, those are the emotions that will dominate your life. But if you train gratitude, courage, determination, and passion, those are the emotions that will carry you through anything. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you show up for it, and that's everything. So how do you shift your state in real time when life hits hard? First, awareness. Catch yourself in the act. Most people live in a trance. They don't even realize when they're sinking. You have to develop the muscle of awareness. Notice your posture, your breathing, your focus. Second, interrupt it immediately. Don't give it oxygen. Don't let it grow roots. Snap yourself out of it. Take a deep breath, stand tall, move your body, and change your focus. Third, replace it with power. Ask yourself, what can I be grateful for right now? What can I focus on that makes me feel strong? Your brain can't focus on gratitude and fear at the same time. It can't feel powerless when you're directing it with intention. Every transformation begins with a moment when you decide, I'm done feeling this way. You've got to reach that emotional threshold where staying the same hurts more than changing. That's when the real you wakes up. Because deep down, you already know what to do. You've just been stuck in a low state that convinces you otherwise. But once you lift that energy, once you remember who you are, everything changes. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop waiting for permission. You stop wishing and you start doing. Changing your state is about taking back control from the patterns that have been running you. It's about saying, I'm the one who decides how I feel, how I act, how I live. That's power. And once you tap into that, life no longer feels random. You start creating momentum. You start building confidence not from results, but from your own ability to generate energy on demand. That's how you change your life, one emotional shift at a time. If you're serious about transforming your life, don't just understand this, practice it. Every single day when you wake up, don't wait to feel ready. Create readiness. Prime your body, your mind, your emotions for greatness. Jump, move, breathe, declare your intention. Don't crawl into your day, charge into it. Because your energy will determine your experience, and your experience will determine your destiny. When you master your state, you can face anything. The loss, the setback, the uncertainty. It won't control you anymore. Because you'll know how to return to strength, how to generate clarity, how to step into courage. Life will still throw challenges, but you'll meet them from a higher vibration, a stronger place. You'll no longer react, you'll respond with power. Everything in your life is a reflection of your internal state. You change that, you change everything. Your relationships shift because you show up with presence instead of pressure. Your work changes because you bring energy instead of excuses. Your dreams become reality because you finally have the emotional fuel to follow through. Most people think transformation is about doing more, but it's really about being more alive, more present, more intentional. The doing becomes easy when your being is aligned. When you're in that peak state, decisions become clear, fear becomes small, and opportunities start appearing everywhere. You've got to own your state like your life depends on it, because it does. The moment you take responsibility for your emotions, your life starts to transform. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. You design your energy, and your energy designs your destiny. So right now, decide, not later, not someday, right now, in this moment, decide that you're done letting your circumstances define you. Decide that from this day forward, you control your state, you control your focus, you control your energy. And when you do that, when you truly own that power, that's the moment your life begins to change forever. You can shift your state in a moment, but if you want that change to last, if you want to transform your life in a way that sticks, you've got to go deeper. You've got to rewire your beliefs. Because your beliefs are the invisible force that shapes every decision, every action, every feeling you experience. You can have all the passion in the world, but if deep down you believe you're not enough, you'll sabotage yourself. If you believe success is out of reach, you'll find ways to prove yourself right. If you believe change is temporary, you'll always return to what's familiar. Your beliefs are the blueprint of your reality, and until you rewrite that blueprint, you'll keep building the same house no matter how many times you rearrange the furniture. Everything in your life right now, your habits, your income, your relationships, your confidence, it's all a mirror of what you believe to be true about yourself and about life. Most people don't realize that. They think life is happening to them, that they're the way they are because of their past, their circumstances, their upbringing. But here's the truth. Your life is a reflection of your beliefs, not your conditions. You can change your strategy, your effort, your goals, but until you change what you believe you deserve, what you believe is possible, you'll always hit the same invisible ceiling. Think about it. There are people who have faced impossible odds, no money, no support, no education, and still created extraordinary lives. Why? Because somewhere along the way they adopted empowering beliefs. They believed they could, even when no one else did. And there are people who have every resource, every advantage, and they still struggle. Why? Because deep down, they've accepted disempowering beliefs that keep them stuck. What separates the two isn't luck, it's what they believe about themselves and about what's possible. The crazy part is, most of your beliefs aren't even yours. You didn't sit down and choose them, you absorbed them. You inherited them from parents, teachers, culture, media, religion, people who were just passing along what they were taught. As a kid, someone might have told you you're not smart enough, or that money is hard to make, or that life is unfair. And without realizing it, you built your world around those ideas, you started collecting evidence to support them, and now they feel like facts. But they're not facts, they're filters. They're lenses through which you interpret reality, and until you question them, they will continue to define what you think is possible for you. Beliefs are powerful because they operate beneath the surface. You don't see them, but they shape everything, like software running in the background. They determine how fast, how effectively, how confidently you operate. The problem is most people never update their software. They're running 20, 30, 40-year-old programs that no longer serve them. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why the same patterns keep repeating, why they can't seem to break through even though they're trying so hard. The issue isn't effort, it's programming. To change your life, you have to bring those old beliefs into the light. You have to question them with honesty and courage. Ask yourself, what do I believe about myself that's holding me back? What do I believe about success, about love, about happiness, about growth? Because every belief creates either possibility or limitation. Every belief either gives you wings or builds your cage. You've got to look those beliefs in the eye and say, is this really true? Or did I just decide it was true a long time ago and never challenged it? And when you find those limiting beliefs, and you will, don't resist them, don't fight them. Just recognize them for what they are, outdated stories. Stories that once served a purpose but no longer align with the person you're becoming. You can't hate your old beliefs, they got you this far. To go further, you must upgrade them. You must install new ones that match the life you want to live. So how do you rewire a belief? You start by associating massive pain with the old one and massive pleasure with the new one. The brain is driven by two forces, pain and pleasure. It will always move away from what it perceives as painful and toward what it perceives as pleasurable. If you keep linking comfort to your limiting beliefs, if you say, this is just who I am, or this keeps me safe, you'll never let go of them. But if you link enough pain to staying small, to playing safe, to living beneath your potential, your mind will do whatever it takes to change. You've got to make the cost of your old beliefs unbearable. Ask yourself, what does believing this cost me? What opportunities have I missed? What relationships have I damaged? What dreams have I abandoned because of this belief? Feel that truth. Don't numb it. Let it shake you. Let it wake you up. Because transformation begins when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. Once you've broken the emotional grip of a limiting belief, you replace it with an empowering one. Not just by saying affirmations mindlessly, but by conditioning it until it becomes part of who you are. You install it through repetition, through emotional intensity, through evidence. The mind doesn't believe what you say, it believes what you feel repeatedly. So you've got to speak your new beliefs with passion. You've got to live them, act on them, prove them true through consistent action. That's how the wiring changes. For example, if your old belief was, I'm not enough, your new belief might be, I am more than enough, and I'm getting stronger every day. But don't just say it, feel it. Stand like someone who's enough. Move like someone who's enough. Speak like someone who's enough. When your body and emotions align with the new belief, the brain begins to accept it as reality. The more you reinforce it with evidence, taking action, getting results, acknowledging progress, the deeper that belief takes root. Here's the key, you can't just think your way into new beliefs. You've got to experience them. The fastest way to rewire your mind is to take massive action that contradicts your old belief. If you've believed you're not confident, speak up in that meeting. If you've believed you can't change your body, hit the gym today and prove yourself wrong. Every time you act in defiance of your limiting belief, you weaken it. Every time you follow through, you strengthen your new identity. Change doesn't happen through wishing, it happens through action that rewires what you believe is possible. You begin to see evidence that you're capable, that you're powerful, that you're enough. And soon, what once felt impossible becomes your new normal. You see, the brain doesn't care what's true, it cares what's familiar. That's why so many people stay stuck in suffering. It's familiar, the unknown feels uncomfortable even if it's better. So you've got to train your nervous system to become comfortable with growth, to make new beliefs familiar, to make power your default instead of fear. That's the real work, and it starts with awareness, intention, and consistent action. Rewiring your beliefs isn't about pretending life is perfect or denying reality. It's about choosing the reality that empowers you most. You can choose to believe life is happening for you, not to you. You can choose to believe that every challenge is shaping you, that every setback is a setup for a breakthrough, that every day you're becoming more than you were yesterday. Those aren't delusions, they're decisions. And the more you live by them, the more life aligns with them. I've seen people who were broken by their past turn their pain into power because they rewired what they believed about what that pain meant. The meaning you attach to your experiences becomes the belief that shapes your destiny. You can believe your past defined you, or you can believe it prepared you. One belief keeps you trapped. The other sets you free. If you want to know what you truly believe, don't look at your words, look at your actions, look at your results. Because your life will always reflect your deepest beliefs. If you believe you can't, you won't even try. If you believe you're not worth it, you'll keep settling. But if you believe you're capable, worthy, and destined for more, you'll show up differently. You'll demand more of yourself. You'll move through fear instead of waiting for it to disappear. Every belief you hold is either constructing your future or destroying it. So choose wisely. Don't settle for beliefs that keep you small because someone else told you that's all you could be. Write your own story. Decide what's true for you. Decide who you are. And then live in alignment with that truth every single day. You want to change your life, you've got to break the pattern of thought that created the life you have. You've got to refuse to be defined by your past and instead be driven by your vision. The moment you decide that your old beliefs no longer serve you, that's the moment you reclaim your power. It's not enough to say, I want change. You've got to believe you deserve change. You've got to believe you're capable of it. Because if you don't believe that deep down, no amount of effort will last. Your mind will always find a way to return to what it knows. But when your beliefs are upgraded, your actions naturally follow. You don't have to force yourself. You flow toward the life you're meant to live. So today, take inventory of your beliefs. Ask yourself, what must I believe about myself to create the life I want? What must I let go of to rise? Because you can't take flight while still clinging to the ground. You can't step into your next chapter if you're still reading from the last one. The truth is, you are the author of your story. You can cross out the lies, rewrite the pages, and create a narrative that empowers you to live fully. Your beliefs are the pen in your hand. Use them consciously. Because once you do, you won't just change what you think, you'll change who you are. And when you do that, when you truly rewire your beliefs to align with your highest vision, your world expands. Opportunities appear, confidence grows, fulfillment deepens. Because life always meets you at the level of your beliefs. Change them, and you change everything. You can shift your state, you can rewire your beliefs, but none of that means a thing until you take massive action. Because ideas don't change lives, execution does. Knowledge is potential power. It only becomes real power when you act on it. You can have the most empowering mindset, the most inspiring vision, but if you don't move, if you don't do something about it, it remains just a dream. Action is where transformation takes form. It's where faith becomes fact and desire becomes destiny. Too many people get stuck in the preparation phase. They're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect feeling. But there's no such thing as perfect conditions. You will never feel 100% ready. You will never have every answer. You will never eliminate every risk. And the truth is, waiting for certainty is the fastest way to guarantee you'll never start. You've got to move while you're uncertain. You've got to take the leap before you see the landing. That's where growth lives. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in your life came because you decided, not because you were ready. The moment you acted, life began to respond. Doors opened. Opportunities appeared. Strength showed up that you didn't even know you had. But none of that happens until you take that first step. You can't steer a parked car. You've got to get it moving. The direction becomes clear once you're in motion. Action isn't about perfection. It's about momentum. It's about building that inner muscle of follow through. Every time you take action, even small action, you train your mind to believe in your own power. You reinforce a new identity. I'm the kind of person who follows through. And that identity changes everything. Because confidence doesn't come from what you say you'll do. It comes from proving to yourself that you'll do it. Each small win compounds, builds energy, creates momentum, and that momentum is the force that can carry you through the storms of doubt and fear. Fear loses its grip when you move. It feeds on hesitation. It grows in silence. But the moment you take action, you rob fear of its power. You realize it's not as big as it seemed. You realize most of your limits are illusions created by inaction. Action destroys fear. Because when you're in motion, you're no longer thinking about what could go wrong. You're engaged in creating what can go right. The problem is, people want the feeling of progress without the discomfort of action. They want transformation without friction. But growth only happens when you step beyond what's comfortable. Comfort feels safe, but it's a slow death. It numbs your potential. It keeps you small. The life you want, the one that lights you up, will demand discomfort. It will require you to do what's inconvenient, what's uncertain, what's uncomfortable, because that's where your next level lives. When you commit to massive action, you're sending a signal to your brain, to your soul, to the universe itself. I'm serious. That's when life starts to cooperate with you. It starts giving you resources, people, opportunities that match your level of commitment. Most people wait for motivation before they act, but motivation comes after action. You move first, and then the fire shows up. You build belief through doing. You've got to stop negotiating with your excuses. Your excuses sound convincing, I know. They sound like logic. I'm tired. I don't have time. It's not the right moment. But every excuse you accept is a brick in the wall between you and the life you want. And the longer you wait, the taller that wall becomes. The only way to tear it down is to act despite the voice in your head that says you can't. Because that voice never goes away. It just gets quieter as you get stronger. People often say, what if I fail? But failure is not the enemy. Failure is feedback. It's direction. Every person who's ever succeeded massively has failed more times than the average person ever tried. They've simply learned that failure isn't final. It's foundational. You learn, you adjust, you grow, you move again. The only real failure is not trying. Because when you act, even if you fall, you're still further ahead than the person who did nothing. The truth is, the path to success is messy. You'll stumble, you'll doubt, you'll question yourself. But that's part of the process. You're rewiring years of conditioning. You're stepping into the unknown. That's what growth feels like. The discomfort isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're expanding. You're becoming more. You're stepping into the version of you that's capable of handling more, doing more, being more. You've got to make taking action a habit, not a special occasion. Consistency beats intensity. Most people wait for big bursts of inspiration. They sprint for a few days, then stop. But real change happens through consistent action, day after day, even when it's boring, even when it's hard. Discipline is freedom. When you commit to showing up no matter how you feel, you start to control your destiny instead of being controlled by your emotions. It's easy to take action when you're inspired. The real test is when you're exhausted, when nothing's working, when the results aren't showing up yet. That's where character is built. That's where transformation happens. Because anyone can act when it's easy. The great ones act when it's not. They move through resistance, through doubt, through failure, because they know what's on the other side. Massive action isn't just about quantity, it's about quality. It's about taking aligned action. You don't want to just be busy, you want to be effective. Every step you take should be connected to the vision you've built, to the beliefs you've rewired, to the state you've cultivated. Action without alignment leads to exhaustion, but action fueled by clarity and purpose creates expansion. You feel alive, driven, unstoppable. To take massive action, you need clarity of outcome. What do you truly want? Not what sounds nice, not what others expect, but what sets your soul on fire. When you're clear about the outcome, you stop wasting energy on distractions. You stop dabbling. You become focused, relentless, laser, precise. You wake up each day with direction instead of confusion. And once you know your outcome, you commit to it fully.
Not I'll try. Not hope.
You decide, because the word decide comes from the Latin root decider, which means to cut off. When you decide, you cut off all other possibilities. You remove the back door. You stop entertaining the idea of quitting. That level of commitment creates miracles. Because when your mind knows there's no way out but through, it finds a way. It adapts, it grows, it conquers. There's power in acting fast. The longer you think about something, the more fear builds. Overthinking kills execution. So when you feel that spark of inspiration, don't analyze it to death. Move. Take the first step, make the call, write the message, start the project. Action creates clarity. You'll figure out the how along the way. The path always reveals itself to the one who walks it. Every moment you delay, you reinforce hesitation. Every moment you move, you reinforce courage. Which muscle do you want to strengthen? Because whichever you choose becomes your default. Train your brain to associate action with freedom, not fear, with possibility, not pressure. And soon taking action becomes who you are. It becomes natural, effortless, inevitable. Here's the truth. Massive action doesn't mean you never rest, never reflect. It means you live intentionally, you stop drifting, you live awake, you move with purpose. You measure your progress, you learn from your mistakes, you adjust your strategy, but you never stop moving forward. Action is not just physical, it's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual. It's about stepping into the identity of the person you want to become, not someday, but now. Every action you take from that identity reinforces it. You begin to embody success before you see the evidence of it. That's how true transformation happens. You don't wait until you've arrived to act like that version of you. You act like them until you arrive. People often ask, what if I don't know the right step to take? Here's the answer. Any step forward is better than standing still, because standing still only guarantees one thing: you stay where you are. Action, even imperfect action, gives you feedback. It teaches you, it refines you, it points you in the right direction. Waiting for the right step is often just fear disguised as logic. Every day you have a choice. Take one step closer to your vision or one step back into your comfort zone. Both choices compound. Every act of courage builds momentum toward greatness. Every act of hesitation builds momentum toward mediocrity. Which direction are you building in right now? When you commit to taking massive action, you become unstoppable, not because you never fail, but because failure can't stop you. You stop letting temporary setbacks become permanent stories. You start seeing every challenge as training for your next breakthrough. And that mindset, that relentless refusal to quit, is what separates those who dream from those who live their dreams. There comes a moment when you must stop consuming and start creating. Stop planning and start doing. Stop wishing and start building. That's the moment you take control of your life. Because the truth is, you're not waiting for the right opportunity. You're waiting for the courage to act on the ones already in front of you. And when you act, when you truly commit with everything you have, you ignite something deep within you. You realize the power was never outside of you. It was within you all along, waiting for direction. You stop asking for guarantees and start trusting yourself. You stop seeking approval and start leading yourself. You stop watching life happen and start creating it. Massive action turns dreamers into doers, victims into victors, and potential into purpose. It's the bridge between who you are and who you're meant to be. And once you start walking that bridge, there's no going back. You'll look at your old fears, your old doubts, your old limits, and they'll seem so small compared to the person you've become. So take the step. Don't wait for confidence, create it. Don't wait for clarity, earn it. Don't wait for the right time, make it. Because every second you hesitate is a second you could be using to change your life. Move with urgency, live with purpose, act with faith. And when you do, you'll discover something extraordinary, that your life was never waiting to change. It was waiting for you to act.